So, I want to share from Dr. Atina Manvelian how old wounds impact relationships. And she shares that parental affection was unpredictable. A mix of love and harsh criticism will lead to a person who fears abandonment and needs a lot of reassurance. Also, if you want to look her up, it's Dr. Atina Manvelion on Instagram. Okay, household conflicts were explosive or terrifying to experience will lead to you suppressing emotions and avoid arguments at all costs. You had a parent or your own siblings early. You had to parent your parents or your own siblings. Early on, you attract partners who need saving or fixing. Caregivers frequently broke promises, lied, or betrayed trust. You struggled to believe your partner's faithful. Parents who were emotionally unavailable, cold, or highly rejecting, you avoid intimacy and shut down connection. Parents who expressed love most when you were good, quote unquote good, well behaved, you end up sacrificing your needs to keep your partner happy. Now, I want to share a few ways if you're dealing with wounds. So, first of all, I did some research online, and I want to share from warpaintjournal.com how a healthy relationship is wild, because being loved well makes you confront every habit you once defended, every apology you delayed, every conversation you avoided, and every way you expected to be understood without explaining yourself. So in other words, being loved well, you heal from these wounds, and you can't keep showing up in these ways. You can't keep saving and fixing, or not believing a faithful partner is faithful, or avoiding intimacy, shutting down connection, sacrificing your needs to keep your partner happy, or suppressing emotions and avoiding arguments at all costs, or fearing abandonment, needing too much reassurance. You can't do it anymore. So I found a couple great ways to heal or to support ourselves, not even just heal, but just to support ourselves in being healthy. So I looked online about walking. Walking not only reduces overthinking and relieves tension and stress and improves fitness, but actually it rebuilds your attention span and changes your brain. So quite obviously it could get you away from the phone. What's interesting is that it also gives you a charge. It recharges you. So it's like you're giving your energy sometimes to the phone. And then I also want to share from my research online about the happiness chemicals. So let's say the relationship, right? It's not being a place where you're feeling happy. You can get dopamine, which is pleasure and reward, not from your partner only, but from being creative, listening to music, learning something new. What if you want oxytocin, which feels like for love? You can hug. Could be an animal, could be a tree, could be a friend, family member, or a little kid you're babysitting. You can socialize. You don't even have to touch. And you can do acts of kindness. Okay, serotonin puts you in a good mood. You don't need your partner to put you in a good mood or a relationship. You can meditate, clean up your diet, and practice gratitude. And then endorphins, which, let's say we want a partner for the stress relief, for the pain relief. You can eat some dark chocolate, you can exercise, you can watch comedy. And also, just to get to the root of this, in the wounds is a lot of pain I found that was being avoided. But the version of me that was hurt is not the version of me that is alive now. I've heard a teacher once say, and I don't remember who it was, that if it feels hysterical, it's historical. It's not happening now. It's hysterical because it's from the past, and this is triggering the wound. It's like somebody, you tap them on the shoulder, chas v'shalom, God forbid, and they're sunburned, they go, ow! But it's from the past. It's not that moment hurting them. It's something that was already there. Somebody has an open wound, and you even drop, you sprinkle a little salt. It's terrible for them, right? But if you sprinkle some salt on your skin, nothing. Barely feel it except a little, dust falling on. So Arthur Janos in the Primal Scream says, when the neurotic becomes disengaged from his pain, I believe he stops feeling in a complete way. The neurotic, until he feels again, doesn't know that he isn't feeling. Thus, it's impossible to convince the neurotic that he's unfeeling. Feeling again seems to be the sole convincing factor. So we don't even realize how numb, because of our pain, we have had to be in our past before we were healing, before we healed, before our wounds had a chance to really get that stretch and medicine and attention, undivided attention, focused concentration. I think in my own words, I would say sometimes we overthink as a way to avoid the pain of being limited and not being able to understand, because it feels like our survival might depend on it, but it doesn't. And, thinking of somebody who I used to be connected to, I feel like, a couple things. So first of all, when I feel really upset at him, I recognize that a lot of it has to do with my parents. Like, things he couldn't do were things that my parents couldn't do. And maybe I was looking for him to do it. So I could also forgive him, who, since he's not my parent, the same way I could forgive my parents. Like, what I read was that you can forgive your parents for raising you through their own unresolved trauma, for not being able to understand you because they didn't have capacity to, for not being able to teach you certain skills as no one taught them, for being emotionally unavailable as their parents were emotionally unavailable, doing the best they could with what they knew and had, and following cultural norms they were surrounded with, raising you through their own struggles, pain, worries, and fears. Now, let's say I apply this not just to my parents, but to this man. He was trying to support me through his own unresolved trauma. He wasn't able to understand me because he didn't have capacity to. He couldn't teach me skills no one taught him. He was emotionally unavailable because his parents were emotionally unavailable. He did the best he could with what he knew and had, and he followed cultural norms he was surrounded with. He supported me through his own struggles, pain, worries, and fears. So that really puts things in perspective. And Friedman actually says that everything is making sounds. Like, I remember I used to sometimes use certain substances. And so in this talk, he mentioned that cannabis, substances to avoid the wound, like self-medicate. So he gave a talk on cannabis. He said, minerals make statements. Vegetables have a song. Animals give praise and thanks. And human is like transcendence. And I think a lot about the tree of life versus the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is really addiction to judging. Like, is this good? Is this bad? Is this good? Is this bad? Do I like this? Do I not like this? Is this to my preference? Is this not to my preference? Is he good? Is he bad? Is she good? Is she bad? And instead of the tree of life, which it is. And I thought of this as like a spectrum. There's like regression and life imbalance on one side, and all the way on the other side you have core health and transcendence, like the transcendence where Friedman spoke about. And then I think of like frequencies. So existing is like, if all that matters is existing, then so much is happening in existence. My heart's pounding, I'm breathing, my eyes are blinking every so often. Like, there's so much in this moment. But then if we open it up a little bit to mattering, it's not so much happening, because how much am I mattering? So I matter to like my landlord, I matter to my neighbors, I matter to people who called me and I didn't answer, people who called me and I did answer. I mattered, like, and so on, to like a man who's interested in me, or a man I'm interested in, or hopefully it's the same man, God willing, for me. And then let's say we stretch that open even more, safety. So it's like, I'm safe in my home because the doors are locked and I have everything I need. I'm safe because I have a faith in like a higher power that keeps me protected. And I'm safe because I'm well connected to people I've met over many years and recently, where I could reach out if I need help. And then function. So it's like, I am, like, now we're slowing it down even more. So it's not just existing. It's like we're really big. So you see, we're transcending in sound waves, kind of like, that's what I'm trying to show in frequency. So function is like, I have a function. So I'm functioning like in, we'll do 2 peaks. Let's say safety was like 3 peaks. So we'll do like 2 peaks. Like, so I'm functioning by being a student and a teacher, like being involved in wisdom. So in other words, I'm receiving and spreading wisdom, even I'm doing it right now. And another function is I'm becoming a whole person so that I'm less of a burden on people by focusing on all this work and doing the work, right? Then progressing. So let's see, like, now we'll do 1 peak, right? We'll do a whole peak. So how am I progressing? I am taking the energy from a connection that is not in connection, and I'm spreading it out throughout all the different areas of my life. And now we'll do contributing. So contributing is like an upward It's not a peak, it's just a line up. It's just ascending. So in contributing, I am willing to be present, right? So in the presence, I am channeling presence. By contributing, I'm contributing presence. I'm being present. There we go. So in terms of forgiveness, it's easier to see, like, so this is a human. What really bothered me, perhaps, that I didn't quite admit to myself? So it was, he didn't keep his word to me, this man. He said he wouldn't ghost me, and he did. He said no more silent treatment, and he did. He said he'll work on his midos, his traits, and he didn't. He said that if you need space, he would use the code word rubber band, and he didn't. He said he will reject me in person, and he didn't. He said he'll consider meeting again, and then rejected me in a text. And then I thought about some things I missed from him. Someone to tell my things to, you know, advice, forgiveness, blessings, no limits on contact, even though he would give me silent treatment, ignored me a lot. The smiley face emojis and these little hands emojis, and also like being able to say anything I felt, you know, and feeling that kind of acceptance, and also like accepting that it could be intense, like, and I guess also just the attention and the fast responses, although it was very intermittent and would cause me not always the best feelings to deal with. So that's all for today. This is the video for Thursday, and we'll stop here. Wishing you pleasantness. Wishing you pleasantness. Lots of love.